me just take a breather.
Yay. Okay, I'm glad this works. I'll just use these headphones forever and ever because they seem to work really well.
I'll be back in like 20 minutes. I gotta go wash my hair.
Damn it!
Oh my god, 20 minutes.
I hate you.
Welcome to another episode of Anime and Tea Podcast. This is Kim, your host, and I have a group of members here with us to talk about convention horror stories. So gather around our campfire as we tell our horrible, horrible stories. Just kidding. That's not what we're going to do. What we are actually doing is just telling a little bit of our experiences in these conventions that were not the best, in hopes that maybe in the future it might help some people out not have the fear of conventions anymore, or even it might help out, other conventions be able to appreciate or change a few things that we as attendees find issues with, basically. Not saying all conventions are like this, of course, but high hopes that things do change, because not everything is perfect in every convention that you attend to. At the end of the episode, we will be giving out our email address, and if you have some horror stories or some tips, or if there's anything really that you need help on with conventions, we're actually going to record episodes with your responses and try to give out that advice as well. So please just wait a little bit and we'll be able to give you that email. To start us off, we are going to discuss what is in our cup. And here we have Zoe, Jose, Joe, and Dano. So guys, what's in your cup?
I actually have 2 cups today. I got a mocha coffee from Inc. here in Denver, which is one of my favorite coffee places. And I also have regular water because hydration is important. Hydrate yourselves.
And for me, I am drinking called Clear American Soda. I am actually trying out the peach, but it is 0 sugar, 0 calories, 0 caffeine, and 0 sodium. And probably a shit ton of chemicals, but who knows?
It's good for your hair? I don't know. I'm not a chemist.
Me neither. There's, you look at the ingredients and just hope for the best.
I'll be the boring one, and I'm drinking water. Water's good for you.
Water's very good for you.
Yeah.
With 0 leaves.
I don't know. I'm not a chemist.
Okay.
I forget what order we're going in, or if we're going in an order at all.
Me
Joe,
too.
take it.
Okay. I guess it's me. I'm going to be basic today. Drinking Dutch Bros. I get the Camp Out Freeze. It's literally my favorite. Dutch Bros, sponsor me because I love you. Thanks.
All right, bringing up the rear. I've got a natural grocer powder recovery drink thing, because today was leg day, and leg day always seems to take a lot more out of me than any other day. And it's also your reminder that you should not skip leg day, even when it hurts leg day, because it hurts.
Amen.
Weirdly,
Ditto.
I love leg day. I don't know about you. The chest, the upper body is not my favorite.
Butts don't grow themselves.
That's true.
Right, but you can do body weight squats and at least you're toned. I don't need to lift heavy. I just need to be able to defend myself at con.
That's fair.
And I'm good.
Defend myself. Yeah. People are going to come at you for cosplaying. They're like, how could you cosplay that person? I'm going to fight you.
Was that a teaser trailer? A spoiler?
We'll get into it. I have a story.
Technically, at this point, it's foreshadowing, so...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes,
great.
yes.
I will actually start us off. So, funny enough, my horror story, which isn't really that bad, but me and my friends actually attended this convention, which I will put in quotation marks, Hallway Con. in case you guys ever attended it. The name was WasabiCon. They're no longer a thing here in Colorado anymore. But when they did start off their convention, it was literally a hallway with a rave room, which is, you could probably fit like less than 100 people in there. And funny enough, this was my boyfriend's first convention, but I didn't realize it was going to be horrible until we got there and he was like, this is really what an anime convention is? And I was like, yeah, but there's better ones. I didn't realize it was just a hallway. Not to say the convention itself was bad. There was some things that happened, such as someone pulled the fire alarm. There was police officers there knocking on someone's hotel rooms. So like I said, it wasn't the best thing. I did go to the rave too, and they had to actually evacuate the rave because there were so many people. But I mean, within like 2 hours, they opened it up again. So it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bad experience. There was actually a lot of fun because it was a very smaller con, so not a lot of people. And they did do a lot of fun panels. One of my favorites were definitely Name the Anime based off the intro. That was so much fun. There was also a panel called Anime Horror Stories, but a lot of them were just like personal ones. Like I remember this guy who was super drunk was talking about how his girlfriend broke up with him, and that was his anime horror story, and he bawled. And I felt so bad, but it's like, wow, what a horror story for real. Like, dang. But that's just my horror story. I actually attended that same con about a year later, and they did get a bigger venue. It was actually a blast. But somewhere along the line, I did hear that the people that were hosting it or created Wasabi took the money from all the attendees and did not pay the hotel, stuff like that, which did give a bad name for any future conventions that would want to make a contract with that hotel. But I mean, they're still holding up. I believe Rocky Mountain Con is still there, hosting it at that same hotel. So it's not all that bad. Would I go again? Probably not. But thank God they are no longer, right?
Yeah, so that con doesn't exist anymore, is what you're saying.
No, it does not exist anymore, thankfully.
I actually have gone to WasabiCon. I literally only went once, and I think it was whenever it was in the larger venue. The funny thing is we went with a couple of people. We didn't buy our passes, but because of the fact that it was in a hotel, it was like basically all in huge open spaces. So we were still able to like interact with other con goers and all this other stuff. So, I mean, I personally had a pretty good experience there, but I totally understand that a lot of people, you know, especially after hearing their money was basically stolen, that can definitely put a damper on it, you know, in hindsight.
I was just doing a quick look up. There's apparently, like, WasabiCon is, I mean, as clever a name as it is not terribly uncommon. There's a WasabiCon Portland, a WasabiCon Jacksonville. So to clarify, I'm assuming this is...
that's like, it's like Anime Onsen. Like Onsen is a company that is like stateside. So they have like Anime Onsen, whatever, and they just brought Anime Onsen to Colorado Springs last year. So it's like, it could be like a company.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, that's very true because I can't remember the name of the company, but down south, they have one umbrella company that does like dozens of conventions, not just in like Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. They all own, but they're all different names. Like it could be Anime Fest or like Mississippi Comic Con, and they all have different names, but it's under the same umbrella.
Yeah, it's like UwuCon in Arizona and like MegaCon in Orlando. It's like the same company, but they're different.
Got it.
Wait, there's a con named UwuCon? The Uwu face?
That sounds so freaking cute.
Yeah, I would want to attend just for the name.
It sounds super cringe. I have to say.
The name is cringe.
Cringe can be fun. Cringe can absolutely
No,
be fun.
It's cute.
It seems interesting, but I'm not going to be caught dead with UwuCon in my search history.
What about WaifuCon?
Well, that sucks for you, Dano, because it's freaking amazing and I
I'll
love
just
it.
get my information from you, and then it'll be fine.
I got you. I am a news person for this podcast, so definitely check me out for our updates.
Yeah, you're
I
gonna
got us.
be the source, the authority.
I love that.
So I do have two questions about the rave that you experienced. One, like ballpark, like how many people are you saying were there that they had to kind of like shut it down? And two, did they by chance play a single anime remix?
Oh yes.
Oh my god.
I'm asking for
Yes.
another con that may or may not be in Colorado that can't seem to take that hint.
So amazingly, there is like probably 150 people in that tiny room.
Oh damn.
But what made the rave so amazing is I love when they incorporate like intro songs or quotes
Yes.
from animes.
Yes.
And there was this one where it was Dragon Ball Z and it was the Kamehameha and he dropped it so fucking perfect.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. Everyone was like all hyping up for it. So
Nice.
I gotta say, the rave for there was like 10 times better.
Can you imagine an anime rave playing anime songs
No way.
and putting in anime sound bites?
I would never.
Wow.
Crazy. I know.
With the big takeaway here being that from Kim's story, the anime raves they have the potential to be really good.
100%.
I feel like they have the potential to make or break a convention for sure. Like if that rave wasn't as amazing as it was, it probably would have been like as disastrous as it, I guess, could have been with the name Hallway Con. So
I had a similar experience.
oh, really? Okay. Well, Jose, take it away.
All right,
Yeah.
volunteered, I guess. Well, actually, like all this talk about raves did like bring back some memories about one convention I went to. So this was in El Paso, Texas, and nowadays there's like no anime conventions there anymore. It's just the culture there is very different. I guess there's good reason for that too, because one of the conventions I did go to there back in the day, there was supposedly a rave, and I was hanging out with my friends and just telling them, oh yeah, there's gonna be a rave, so we should just like stick around till like 9 or 10, because that's usually when those happen. We go into this rave and there's literally like just like 3 or 4 people there, just kind of like staring at each other, and apparently that was it. Like no one really showed up, and we were just like, wow, this is lame. And we just left. We decided it was more fun just walking around downtown than staying there.
Dang, didn't even have a DJ or anything?
So it did. That's the thing. It was, I mean, there was music playing, and like it was trying to kind of like set the mood, but there just wasn't any people there because apparently everyone just left earlier, or like no one stuck around at that time. Yeah. It was weird, and also I just like because I know like in El Paso, like it's just people. They just aren't a whole lot into anime. Like it is definitely a much smaller scene, so I think that also had like a lot to do with that.
So maybe it just was enough people to attend the rave, or if they did, they were like, oh, we can only go for a few minutes and then come back.
Yeah, I think
Or
there's
leave.
just a lot of people didn't want to stick around that late. I mean, I've already like the few people that attended the con.
That is so sad.
So was it like a much smaller con?
It was. The thing is with those, because that convention was like during the winter, as I think that also played a part. The one that happened in the summer of that same year, it was at a smaller venue. It was a hotel. It was in a hotel, and it felt very much more. It was actually pretty fun because it felt more personal, more like you could reach out to people easier. You could like make conversations and friends like way easier. Like it felt like a very grassroots, like I don't know how else to describe it, but really like it felt very local, and it was like, oh, it was pretty cool. The thing is, I felt like the people that organized that got the impression that, oh, like this was a good indicator to try to get a bigger like space, because it was kind of it felt a little like packed. And so the one they held in the winter, it was at a convention center, and I think that was kind of like the reality check that you know there aren't a whole lot of anime, or there's just a whole lot of weebs in that town to fill all that entire space.
So the scene is too small.
Yeah.
Jose, was that your actual horror story?
No, that actually that one came up just 'cause of all the talk
Oh
from
my
all
god,
the
I'm
raves.
so sorry, Jose.
No, but no, I mean, it was. I guess it was the one, like a spontaneous one. It's not really too much of a horror story. It's just, I guess, we were excited for the rave, and it turned out to be like super lame.
So,
But
sorry, I was just gonna ask. So, what was supposed to be your horror story?
yeah, so I do have a couple. Actually, one of them, I'm the villain in the story.
Oh,
How?
Yeah, so this was I think it was 2014. There was a convention in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It was in NMSU, the university that's there, and Kyle Hubbard. I don't know if you guys know him.
The voice actor?
Yeah, the voice actor. He voices. I think it was like Gohan, Ryu, and then at the time I knew him best for one of the characters in Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yep.
I was a big fan of him, and I actually did get an opportunity to like see him and get like a signature and everything. The thing is, so like when I meet him, like I asked him to do like all these things, like to like record a video, like saying, you know, that, oh, like I'm, you know, Jose's turning to Super Saiyan, you know, like I guess like play his voice from the Fire Emblem character that he was in. It was actually Frederick, for those that know. This is like I think one of his quotes was like, oh, pick a god and pray, when he has like a crit.
Pick a god and pray.
So like I asked him to do all these things, like take a picture with me and my wife and all that, and then I don't actually buy anything from him. Like,
Oh no.
he had like these like signature cards or whatever, and I didn't buy one. And in retrospect, I feel terrible about it, and I want to like if I ever do get a chance to see him again, I'm gonna apologize, even though he probably doesn't care or doesn't remember. But I don't know, it just felt like a really like dick move on my part.
It'll cleanse your soul.
I know.
It'll make you feel absolved.
Yeah, yeah. I need my redemption arc.
In reality, he's been thinking about you every single
no.
day ever since. If I ever see that Jose guy again.
I hope not. But yeah, that's where I was the villain. I was that guy.
But it's not like you were doing it intentionally. You were excited. That's what happens. Your enthusiasm kind of takes over, and yeah, it happens.
Don't worry, we forgive you.
Some VAs are actually like totally okay with just meeting their fans. Like you don't necessarily have to buy stuff from them.
Yeah. It also depends on the convention sometimes too, because I went to a convention that had, oh gosh, it was a few of the original Power Rangers and the voice actor for Bubblegum, Princess Bubblegum. The way that they had it was, if you brought the program for the convention, they would sign next to their name, and that would be free. And then, of course, you know, you could still talk to them for minutes. But if you wanted to do anything like have them sign a piece of art or one of their pictures or take a picture with them, then there was a charge.
Not so bad.
How dare you, Jose? My gosh. I used to think so highly of you.
What is your actual horror story?
All right. where I'm the victim.
Where you're the victim? Okay, let's hear this one.
The victim.
Where we're not. This one's pretty brief. It's just it was an NDK. And I'll mention it just because there wasn't anything wrong with, like, I guess the convention itself. It was just something that happened at the convention. So like me and my wife, we always the first thing we do is just check out like the artist alley and look at all the art and see if we like anything. And there was this lady that like I just made a comment about one of her like prints, you know, this is cool or whatever. And then she said she basically just started begging me to buy it. And I was like, oh no, sorry, no, like I have a budget and I'm still looking around, and she kind of like really kept insisting, like, oh please, come on, just buy it.
Don't you want me to eat today?
That's so awful. Like guilt tripping you to buy it. Just be like, please,
yeah, basically,
please.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and then I got to a point where like, oh look, I'll give it to you like half off, please, just buy something. And I was like, I honestly, I just told him, sorry, but now I just can't. And I just walked away.
Was this like a Friday, like the first day of the con that you were just looking around?
It was a Saturday.
A Saturday? Okay, so it was like midway.
Yeah, it was midway through the con. And
that's kind of BS. Artists aren't supposed to pull that shit until Sunday.
Yeah, at least pull it like
that's when the real bargain hunting comes out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I was trying to be nice because honestly, the art just wasn't very good. Like it looked very amateurish, and like obviously it needed a lot of work. But I was trying to be nice and kind of like, they don't want to say like, oh look, your art sucks. Like no one's gonna pay for that.
Like out.
I just tell everyone I'm out of money. I'm like, oh no, I can't buy anything. My con budget's gone.
Yeah, and you walk around with like 5 bags and a bunch of waifu posters and stuff. Oh, sorry, I don't have any more money.
Yeah.
I'm at least nice enough to hide my purchases.
Go to your hotel room, drop it off, and then come back.
100%, because every time I go to like Artist Alley or like anything like that, I will literally look at everyone I'm with and I'm like, take my money, don't let me buy shit. And then I walk out with like 10 bags and I'm like, well, fuck me. But
honestly,
yeah.
there is no budget. It's like my budget is there is no budget unless you take away my card.
Yep, I have an infinite amount of money that I don't really have, but I like to think I do. So yeah.
What's the credit card company going to do? Come out and try to claim my print? I'd like to see you try,
like,
Capital
no.
One.
Come for me. I will fight you.
Zoe, did you find if that con was still going?
No, it is not. So I am more than happy to name drop.
All right, go for it, girl.
Okay, so like I said, this was the first convention that I ever came to as an artist, and I was sharing the table with a very good friend of mine, and the convention was called Louisianime, which I think is a very clever name.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, that's actually really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. So the Louisianime started in Lafayette, which is my hometown. And it ran for a couple of years before eventually moved to Baton Rouge, which was a terrible move on their part, because after like 2 years in Baton Rouge, they ended up stopping essentially. So I want to say this was back in 2014 to 2015. It was being held at the Hilton in Lafayette. And anyone who is listening to this who is from Lafayette knows this hotel, especially if you're part of the con scene, because it's also where a lot of other anime conventions were also being shown throughout the year. It was a huge, very popular venue for anime conventions. Now, Louisianime, whenever I went, it was still fairly new. I think it was only like its second or third year, so it was experienced, but it wasn't still didn't quite go off without a hitch. And what they did is they put all of the artists in the hallway, and they kept the dealers' rooms in one of the venue rooms. So that in and of itself sucked, because the hallway, it was decent spacing, but it was also the fact that like you had on both sides, you go down the hallway and you had artists on both sides of the hallway, not just on one. So to me, that was like a major fire hazard. And we were also in the corner. So, which in some cases could be good, but it's not. Okay, it's basically if you're going down a hallway and you turn a corner, you're not looking what's in that corner. You're looking away from that corner towards where you're turning. So our table, unfortunately, was getting skipped over a lot. And unfortunately, there was nothing that we could really do about it, because we couldn't move our table because of, they were already just skimming the line of being a fire hazard. And there was, every time someone passed by, we'd have to, try and get their attention, just be like, hey, if you like this thing, we have stuff and all this other stuff. And it was just really hard to get people's attention.
Honestly, yeah, that would suck for any artist right there. It's just like you have to be with everyone else, or you could possibly get skipped.
Yes, exactly. So, and the funny thing is the table next to ours was doing really well. It's just for some reason, it's like everyone would spend all their money at that table, and by the time they decided to come to ours, it'd be like, oh, we don't have any more money,
Did you try begging?
Yeah.
And guilting people?
The Jose situation.
I've heard that's had mixed success.
Mixed success.
Mixed success. And actually, I just thought of another one. This was also at a Louisiana Anime convention. This was about 2 years later, when they were still in Lafayette, but they had switched to another hotel, a bigger hotel. So it was so much more space. Like the Artist Alley had their whole open space that was like right as soon as you enter the hotel. That was the first thing that you passed by, was the Artist Alley, which was great. Amazing foot traffic. I did incredible sales there. However, the hotel itself was having major plumbing issues. And one of the biggest pipes, one of their main pipes, was right above my table.
No.
That's so lucky.
So basically, I went Friday. Everything pretty much went off without a hitch. It was perfectly fine. I come in on the Saturday, and again, I live in Lafayette. It would take me like maybe 10 minutes to get from my house to the hotel. Whenever I got there, they had pulled my table back and had put a bunch of caution signs in front of it.
No, so no one could get to you.
No one could get to me. And then they weren't very careful whenever they moved the table, so all of my stuff was knocked over. And I tended to, whenever I had like my bags and everything with all my spare tools, I always tucked it under the table. They moved the table. They did not move the stuff I had underneath it.
Oh no.
So yeah, that was not fun.
Oh my God, that is horrible.
So the things they put up, like were they traffic cones, or was it like caution wet floor signs, or what was it?
It was basically imagine like 2, 3 or 4 caution wet floor signs, and then caution tape around that. And the funny thing is since that happened only to my table, a lot of the artists actually rallied around me. And they were especially the 2 that were on the left and right of me, because I had very different products from what they had. Like the one on the right had crochet, the one on the left had just like regular prints. Most of mine was like jewelry and steampunk goggles. So every time someone would leave one of their tables, they would be like, oh, you should go to my friend Zoe's table. She has amazing stuff, but they had to move her because of the stupid pipe and all this other stuff. Like they give them the whole spiel. So I don't want to say it this way, but I got a lot of pity sales.
I mean,
Hey, sales are sales.
Sales are sales. Yeah.
Like I said, I made back everything that I had to put into that con. So it was
That's fun.
in the end,
that's
it was
good.
definitely worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Weirdly happy ending right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one was the one with the drama?
The fire alarm.
The fire alarm.
The fire alarm is a very quick story. Basically, this was my very first convention. This was a con way back in 2003, showing my age. Basically what happened is, I want to say it was the Saturday night. All of my friends and I were asleep. It was we hadn't gotten back to our room until like 2:00 in the morning because we went to the house party. So as we were passed out, completely asleep, then around 3:30, 4:00, someone pulled the fire alarm and they had to evacuate the entire hotel. And the funny thing is I'm surprised I even remember this, because even walking like down the stairs, I was still half asleep. I stumbled down the stairs. Like, one of my friends had to help me because I was just like, oh, what's going on? Oh, where are we going? Why are we outside? This isn't our room. What's happening? And I don't remember getting back to my room, but I definitely remember standing outside, staring up the hotel like, oh, I can see my room from here. Why am I not in bed? But that was really the only thing that happened at that convention. For the most part, for my first convention, it was a great experience overall. That was the only hitch. For the the drama, because of the fact that I'm a local artist, and because I went to basically all of the same conventions, and I've heard that this also happens in Colorado, you tend to run into the same artists, you tend to run into the same people. You know, there might be some differences because like some of the conventions would be in Mississippi, some would be in Texas, but most of them were in Central and South Louisiana. I knew so many artists. So I'm not going to name this convention because it is still going on. But what had happened, I had decided not to go to this convention because I was getting burnt out. I had not made enough to increase my inventory. And I was not in a good place to do another convention. I was like, I don't want to deal with the people or the crowds. I'm just going to skip this one and take a break for a few months. And then I want to say it was the Saturday afternoon, I am getting nonstop texts and messages from all of my artist friends saying, did you hear what happened? And I'm like, I'm not at the convention. What is going on? This involves 3 different artists, 2 of which were friends, and a third artist. Now, I want to preface this by saying this third artist is a very good friend of mine. I've known this man since high school. He's a great artist. You know, he's very personable. He's very friendly. He's a great guy. And he would always get a lot of traffic because he would do these huge canvas printings with like all of the Doctor Who doctors and all of the, he had one that was like all of the different captains for the Star Trek and, you know, all this other stuff. He does really good work. What the first artist messaged me and she said, did you hear what happened? And I said, I'm not even at the convention. What happened? And she basically accused this third artist of going up to her table, physically grabbing her customers, dragging them back to his table to see his products. The second artist backed her up and said, yeah, he did that a few times. And then he messaged me basically saying, I don't know what they're saying. I'm not sure what's happening, but they're really mad at me. They call security on me and all this other stuff. And of course, this was also all over Facebook and the local artist groups and all this other stuff. For some reason, everyone was asking me for my input. And it's like, guys, I'm not even fucking there. I can't give input. I didn't see what happened. And eventually, you know, the first and second artists were like, you have to back us up on this. And I said, no, I'm not backing you up because number 1, again, I was not there. Number 2, I couldn't have seen anything. Number 3, I know you, but I also know this guy. And I have been at conventions with him. I have shared tables with this guy. He has never, I guarantee you, ever gotten up from behind the table to physically grab someone and drag them over to see his work. When people first come to his table, yes, he will say, hey, you're wearing a Doctor Who cosplay. You know what you would like? This Doctor Who canvas. He would say that from behind the table because it gets attention. It draws the attention to our table. And he would also be like, hey, if you like steampunk stuff, my table partner has awesome steampunk stuff. He's very good at grabbing attention, but he will not physically grab someone because he's spending most of the convention sitting down. So I do not see him getting up from behind the table just to grab someone and try and get a sale. That's not his style.
It's like it's a Mean Girls sequel with the that's what it is. It's Mean Girls 2, The Artist Alley.
They have a Mean Girls too. It's like Mean Girls 3.
It's Mean Girls 3, The Artist Alley.
The Artist
You
Alley.
can't sell with us.
The mean weebs.
You're not wearing pink. It's Friday.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Oh my god. Okay, you have to do it, okay? And then you have to tell me all of the horrible things.
Good stories, though. My goodness. It definitely, so far, like, we've gotten different perspectives for different cons, like, as an artist or attending a different state. So this is actually really good. This is nice. Joe, you are the next person.
Oh, yay. Okay. So I have 2 stories. My first one, I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there for like anybody that is nervous to cosplay and stuff. The times have changed 100% from when I started attending cons and when I attended this one to now. So I don't feel this way at all anymore. And feel free to email us and ask to talk to me about it, and I could help talk you through it because I've experienced it. So I was like 15, and ironically, I attended this con on accident because, as some of you know from like my intro, I was kind of that closet weeb. And so this was my first time actually going out and cosplaying outside of Halloween. And I like went to this con because my friends were telling me they were going to go as a joke and we all had to go as a group and that kind of thing. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll tag along. I'm not interested by any means. And like inner Joe was like, fuck yes, let's go. And so we got there, we did like a Sailor Moon group cosplay. So it was like a lot of fun. And this guy, like some people are still creepers. So definitely just, watch yourself and your group. But it doesn't happen as often anymore. But this guy was like a total creep. He kept following us around. He was like hounding us for pictures. We would sit to eat. He was there. We would go to Artist Alley. He was there. And it got to the point where like he kind of put his arm around me and like that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I'm not digging you, my guy. Like, you're not my vibe. Like, you're kind of a creep. And I was like still in middle school and like this dude was like high school age. So it's nothing like it wasn't an adult or anything. But it just like made me really uncomfortable and it became like a whole thing and it really ruined my first con. Just because I was like, oh, I can't cosplay because people are going to hound me and like bother me and stuff like that. And honestly, now like every con I've attended in Colorado has the whole cosplay is not consent. And I fully support that. Just because someone wears something that's like a bra or a swimsuit or whatever as a cosplay, like that does not give you the right to go around and bother them and like hound them for pictures or touch them. Like you still need to ask, and like a lot of cons now have those buttons like single, taken, I'm okay to hug, please don't touch me, like that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's very important because that is a huge reason now why I feel safe cosplaying at conventions. And I go to a lot of cons on my own. So like as a single woman, I know a bunch of you are probably freaking out for me right now. I do promise you I'm very safe. That was definitely like, it really hurt my first con experience. And I don't think I attended another one until like that was maybe like 2008-ish. And I don't think I attended another one until 2019 when I went with my California con family. And that's when the whole cosplay is not consent thing really got my attention. And now there's a lot of people who post like con etiquette. If there's a cosplayer you want to take a photo with, but they're sitting down and eating, or they're like taking a break or whatever, don't go up to them and be like, can I have a picture? Just wait till you see them walking around. And I always respect, like, if someone's like, no, I don't want to take a photo with you, because that's just how we as a community are going to thrive, like respecting those boundaries.
100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have a 10-year-old younger sister. So when I took her to her first con, I was like, I need to make sure nothing happens to her. Because, you know, like it's such a sad thing.
I am my Colorado family's con mom. We have most of the group is over 18, but we do have someone who has a younger sister who does hang out with us, and she's roughly 13. And when we went to Anime Onsen, we were at the rave, and some guy grabbed her ass, and I was like ready to throw down. I was like, fucking touch her again, and like, you're dead. I do not tolerate non-consensual interaction whatsoever. But the fact that she was younger, like, really triggered me too, because I'm the older sibling. I'm like the oldest out of all of my 8 siblings. So like, anybody looks at them wrong and I'm like, I'm ready to like take you down kind of thing. The only way we're going to be safe as a community and get rid of like those stigmas that are around, like, if you're a weeb, you're creepy. Like, yes, there are some people like that, but the whole community is not that way. So I had to like discover that on my own. The anime and convention community has like completely changed my life 100%. I've never felt so accepted or loved or respected by like any other group before. So I don't want this to like deter first timers or anything like that. Like, my experience is not everyone's experience, and like the whole community is not that way. Like, most of us are very welcoming and like respectful, you know?
Yeah.
Joe, remind me to add looks like a cinnamon roll and will kill you to your bio.
Perfect.
Yay! I will put that on the social media pages. Your cinnamon roll friend, but will like flip a switch and destroy you, which is actually the perfect lead-in into my next story. So I started martial arts last year in August, and I've progressed through my belt rankings like pretty quickly. Honestly, like my sensei was actually surprised. And I was at NDK last year, and it was just this poor guy. We laugh about it now. I'm actually his friend on social media. He'll probably listen to this and be cracking up about it. I was cosplaying as Mitsuri at NDK last year, and this poor boy came up and was like trying to get my attention, and I didn't realize like he was actually talking to me, you know, because cons are kind of busy, and I'm someone like, if you're not saying my name, like my cosplay name, my public name, which is like Hazel, like I don't pay attention, you know, because I can't tell if you're actually talking to me or someone else. And so this guy came up and he like grabbed my wig, and I turned around, and we literally the week before in martial arts were learning how to deal with hair pulls. And so like he tugged on my wig, and I immediately turned around and had like this guy like shoulder to shoulder ready to take him down. And I didn't realize I acted so aggressively over this guy like touching my wig. And like the poor dude totally looked like he pissed his pants. And I definitely looked like I was about to. And I was like scared of my own behavior. And the poor security guard like runs up and he's like, "Are you guys okay? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "I am so sorry." It's just like, it was an initial reaction, like, oh my God. And the dude is like, "My bad." Like, it's like one of those like funny kind of stories. But yeah, like I definitely scared the piss out of this dude. And that was like our first time meeting, and I felt so bad.
Joe, you must teach me your ways.
In general, not a great way to meet people. Taking wigs, not a great like introduction. Like, "Oh, got your hair.
No.
My name is Tim."
No, like not at all. And I totally went to the dojo the next day, and I was like, "Sensei," like I totally like freaked this dude out. And so now we have like this whole joke in the dojo with like everybody I train with. And they're like, "Joe, can you wear a wig today so we can like get you to go 100%? And I'm like, "I will deck all of you like right now. Like I will full on fight you." It's not funny. And so now I have like this whole stigma with wigs where like if I wear one, I feel like someone's gonna pull on it and I'm just gonna like full on just engage. So newsflash for all of our listeners, if you ever run into me at a con,
Dub pull the
for
wig.
all of our safety,
Approach from the front.
yeah, approach from the front. Don't touch the wig, and make sure you either call me Joe or Hazel, and that's going to be the only way I'm going to respond.
That's so crazy, though. Oh my god. All right, Dano.
Hey, where you
let's record your part.
I only have one.
And it's about NDK.
It is not about NDK. I do have.
What?
I will share. Look, I'm
10-piece
proposing that as our
manifesto.
first Patreon only special, I will read out loud my NDK manifesto. 10 things wrong with this convention and what needs to be fixed. But only if you,
Pay,
whatever, give us money or whatever.
pay it $30.
Give us money.
Okay. Scene. It's Saturday night.
Oh god.
At a convention about 40 minutes outside of a capital city. It's not a huge event. Typically has a draw somewhere between 3,000 and 8,000 people. I'm not going to name it. I've been going for a few years and it became one of my favorites for a lot of reasons. But one of the bigger ones is because it was just a really good social time with everyone. Everyone there was really friendly. And after the convention hall closes on Saturday night, the hotel lobby and bar and the modest ballroom probably holds like 40 people, maybe 60 people comfortably. All of that kind of first floor area of the hotel becomes kind of a house party. Everyone who's at the convention, if you show up and you're not a jerk, you just hang out, you're going to have a great time. You're going to make new friends. You're going to see all your old friends. It is super fun. And it really has that kind of like house party kind of feel to it. It's not like a big bumping club. It's not a rave thing. It's a very cozy feeling. And it was just before midnight. There was probably about 200 or so nerds scattered around between the lobby and the bar and the fire pit outside and the smallish ballroom where karaoke was going on. So there's a lot going on and there's plenty to do. And in walks this wedding party. A bride, a groom, father of the bride, and half a dozen or so members of the bridal party. They had reserved some of the rooms in the hotel just to stay. They didn't know that when they booked their wedding, it's not like they're looking to see like, oh yeah, is there a nerd convention going on that same weekend? I think under other circumstances, especially with our crowd, if we had that, it'd be like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's like make the best of this. Not the case with these folks. So this is less a horror story and more a story of shit show. What not to do when your wedding is the same weekend as a convention. The wedding was already done. The reception was already done. The after party was already done. They all occurred well outside of the hotel. But when that group of people walked in, they wanted the rights to use the ballroom area, even though they didn't reserve it. The event organizers did.
I mean, like, if I had a wedding around a con time, I would be like, we're all celebrating con and the fact that someone decided they were going to marry me.
Right?
But-
That sounds like a really good fun time.
Right, like the after party to the after party.
Right, exactly. So the organizers offered to share the ballroom and even offered the bride priority in whatever karaoke song they wanted to perform, but that wasn't good enough for them. It wasn't enough that they couldn't use the room. They demanded to hotel management that no one should be able to use the room, and they tried to cite local noise ordinance to shut our party down. We outnumber them like 200 to 10. This was a very bad miscalculation on their part because the 50 or so people that were doing karaoke were now forced to go out into the lobby. Now that's where the biggest part of the party is. So everybody is now basically in this one very small indoor area where an angry bride is because she's like, meh, what are these nerds doing? Not only did they fail in shutting down the party, all they did was change it so that we were more concentrated in the only areas we could share. Chaos ensued.
Oh, of course.
All the nerds were now even more empowered because we're like, wait a minute, why can't we do karaoke anymore? It's not even the people that were just in the room. It's also people that were waiting outside or waiting by the bar. And they were kind of hearing what was going on. And it's like, wait a minute. This isn't right.
No, that's when you have a karaoke party in the lobby.
Oh. So some Bananas in Pajamas cosplayers, they did start their own
Oh my
karaoke in
God.
the lobby with Bluetooth speakers. And people were just singing along to whatever was playing.
War against the weebs, you will always lose.
Always. The elder stateswomen of the convention began hitting on the men and some of the women in the bridal party with mixed success.
Yay! Good on them. Good on them. Shoot your shot.
The coup de grace. Keep in mind, at this point, it's past midnight, so it's actually probably closer to like 1 o'clock. They're refusing to leave the room because they're like, we're trying to prove a point that only we should be allowed to have fun or something like that.
Your kind is not welcome here. Please leave.
Yeah, get the hint, lady. You got married. You got everything you wanted today. All you had to do was make one little compromise, and this could have been fun for everyone. Now, it's just fun for us.
Yup, you dug your grave. Deal with it.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask real quick. Were they staying in the hotel?
Only those 10 out of the 60 or 80 people that were in the wedding or at the wedding. This was just some of the bridal party. It wasn't even the whole thing.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. I just wanted to ask.
And once again, they didn't even reserve the ballroom or anything. They were just like, oh, because we walked in and I got married today, I should have all the rights to do whatever I want, even if it means at the expense of everyone else. And the person who took the most grievous offense to this was a Spider-Man cosplayer who stood up on the table at which the bride and father of the bride were sitting, hands on his hips, fueled by the fires of passion for partying with his friends and probably alcohol. He begins to gyrate.
It's the weeb
I wish I was
way.
there.
It's funnier than it is seductive, but the look on the father of the bride's face is something that I will never forget. His disdain was palpable.
I wish I could have experienced this with you because Spider-Man and Deadpool cosplayers, you never know what you're getting.
They go all out.
They are 100% a riot.
This all could have been avoided if they just wanted to party with us. I have never been to a convention where, by and large, the community was toxic. Sure, there are toxic members.
Right, but the community as a whole.
Like any good community, they're good at self-policing.
Oh, 100%.
And this was a group of people that a lot of us have known each other for years, and we've been friends for years, and we only see each other like once or twice a year at events like this.
Mhm.
And this is our time to get together and celebrate. We're happy that you got married and all. We'd love to have you party with us, but no, we're not shutting down.
Oh, no.
No
For
such
you.
thing for weebs.
Like I said earlier, yeah, like War of the Weebs, it's 100% a thing. We have gained multitude of experience in random fighting styles and the fact that we can all be annoying if we need to.
The fighting styles.
Fighting styles like table dancing.
Gyrating in front of the bride's dad.
It's literally, if you're not with us, you're against us. And this actually reminds me of a story from a smaller convention. The same weekend of the convention, they were also having a Southern Black Church convention. Essentially 10 or 20 church that in the South. They were all Black Baptist churches. And they had their convention the same weekend that we were having ours. The funny thing is there was not a sour note that entire weekend. Like they even had like the pastors and everyone were buying tickets for our convention just so that they could attend. They would buy tickets and they'd buy stuff from the artist alley and they would go to the dealer's room. They had no idea what any of this stuff was, but they were in it. They were loving all of it. So it's just interesting that it's like you can either have a really good time at a convention and not know what's going on, or you can get shit on by all of us.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot. Just have an open mind. That's all we're asking for. Like, just just let us be and we'll let you be. And best case scenario, we'll get together and we'll hang out together and we'll find something that we can find common ground on.
And we'll all have a great time.
But if you don't let that happen, then yeah, no, this is our space right now.
Yeah, like this is where we belong. This is where we come to belong. We don't need the negativity.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I love my normie friends, but none of them are willing to give cons a chance or anything like that. So I don't invite them. But some of my best friends I have literally met at con, and they are like the most amazing people.
I spent a good chunk of my life not defending the space that I felt comfortable in, and I feel entirely comfortable doing that now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. You guys heard my intro. Like, I was literally very closet weeb. And when I did try to talk about it, I was made fun of and bullied a lot. So, like, the fact that I can go to a con with so many like-minded people, and I now get to be the person that I didn't have when I first entered this community for others, is like what I pride myself on.
Be the person that you needed when you were younger. All right, Kim, walk us out.
Walk us out. Well, guys, just going through our stories, obviously there were some bad ones, but good endings, some general bad ones that hopefully never happens to anyone ever on their first con experience. But just make sure that if there's something you feel you need help on when it comes to conventions, whether it's your first one, your 54th one, your 200th one, we are here for you. And if there's stories that you would like to share, like, go for it. We have our own email, which is anime.tpodcast@gmail.com. We are gonna make future episodes where we respond to these emails as a group, which would be great. But you can also follow us on Facebook, which is anime.tpodcast. We also have a Twitter page of animetpod, TikTok, which is anime.n.tpodcast, and also a YouTube, which is anime.t.podcast. Just be aware there is a link tree on all of our social medias, so if you go to one page, you could definitely go ahead and subscribe to the other ones. That way you get news, updates, and basically anything from us. The only other one I did want to mention is we do have a Patreon, which is Anime T Podcast. Any donations would be great for us. We are working on making our own merchandise, as well as going to panels out of state of Colorado. We mostly do it in Colorado because this is where we live, but we would love to travel and get to meet our listeners from all states. The membership is only $5. If you could do it, great. But, you know, we also just love you listening in. So, other than that, we are out of tea. So hopefully we see you on our next episode, which is going to be the topic of learning new anime and watching. So basically, if like you've never ever watched anime in your life and you want a general clean slate of which one would be a great starter, we will be talking about some of our members and what they think would be the best starter for you. If you have recommendations, again, please email us. We would love to read your recommendations, and some of us will even try it, most likely me, because I love new anime. So thank you so much for listening, and I do hope you guys have a wonderful day and